Welcome to Touchline. I'm your host, Anthony Toter, and right now I am talking to the gold medal winners of Unionville Soccer Club, Richard Harold. Richard, when you got that phone call, when you got that email maybe, how did it feel to be recognized as gold medal winners?
Well, Anthony, it was a thrill. It was a thrill on behalf of myself and everybody in the club who made it happen, because we're, as they say, there's no I in team, and we're team players. So it was just a thrill, and it was shared by everybody because I shared it instantly. It went by text to all our board and the members I could find, and it was a wonderful sense of achievement because we'd worked so hard for it.
Well said. Now, who did you bring with us today, Richard?
Well, I'd like to introduce Paul Omegon. As it says, he's our technical director for our women's program, and Paul's been with us for over 15 years now. He's come a long way, achieved many credentials and many successes. He's a coach in his own right, led a team to the Ontario Cup Championships. Now he shares his expertise across all our women's teams, age 3 right up to age 26.
Paul, welcome, and I'm glad that the president mentioned Ontario Cup competitions, and I think personally when it comes to the women's side of Ontario Cup competition, it's one of the fiercest, most heated competitions there is in many of the age groups. Tell us a little bit about Ontario Cup competition and the teams you've helped.
Well, you know what, Ontario Cup competition is a great competition. It's one of the largest in, I think, all of North America. And we've been successful a few times. We actually even represented Ontario and went to the national in one of these years. It's a great competition. A lot of kids have been identified through that program. In our case with Unionville, we've been lucky to be there a few times, about 4 or 5 times in the finals, right? The girls love it. The guys love it as well. The competition is great. Right, you get to showcase yourself. A lot of preparation is put forward in order to get the teams to the final. So I think it's a competition that has to continue in order to identify players, and it's a competition that great players like to attend and look forward to.
Well said, Paul. You mentioned that you're part of the women's program there at Unionville, and you're the technical director of that side. I've never coached girls or women, I've coached boys, but I've heard that the girls, the women, are so focused and they listen and they absorb a lot more than the young boys or the young men. For you, it must make your job a lot easier to explain to them what you want from them.
You know what? I would agree to that in somewhat. It's sometimes it is easy because the kids listen a lot, but sometimes listen to a fault. If you tell them stand there, they will stand there until you tell them otherwise. Boys love to experiment, right? You put the ball down and they'll try stuff out. While girls, they want you to actually teach them how it's done, and then so. Teaching women, you got to know your stuff. You got to know what you're doing because you make a mistake, they'll be making the same mistake with you. Women learn very differently, and I think that's the reason the club has a technical director for the boys and the girls so that we specialize. You got to be careful how you deal with them. They're very sensitive, right? But trust me, I wouldn't coach boys for anything. I stick with my girls. I love it. I know how to work with them, and you know what? It's a very fulfilling job.
Thank you for telling us all those guys that coached boys soccer, like myself. Now you're telling us that it's better to coach the girls.
It's fun. It's fun.
If we told you to coach boys, you'd coach boys, right?
If you tell me, I'll have to, but I would prefer to stay with girls. It's great working with these women.
Now, Paul, let's be honest very quickly and talk about how the program has grown. You're developing young girls there. You want them to get better day in and day out. But what are you, Paul, as a coach, doing to get yourself better day in and day out? Because we always ask so much of the players to get better. Are you doing enough to get yourself better, to get to that next level, to teach them more and more?
Yes, I find that question very interesting, and this is something I tell my coaches every day. 5, 6 years ago, I was just a pre-B licensed coach. Come in there, but now I decided, you know what, if I'm going to ask these girls to do much more, I got to do much more. So I did my provincial license, I did my national B license, and now I completed my national A license part 1. I'm doing my A license part 2 this year as well. So I have bettered myself in the license area, but more than that, I study a lot. We have coaches meeting a lot. We try to learn from everybody, even from the new coaches. I listen to parents a lot. I listen to the kids a lot. Obviously, I listen to my board as well, right? But a lot is put into it. It's a full-time job for me. So I spend a lot of time studying it, listen to other coaching, researching, reading books. So I have tried in that form and that way to better myself so that I could better the kids in return.
Paul, bravo for you. And you used the word listen about 5 or 6 times. I love that because you're not closed off to not listening to others. That is a sign of a good quality human being and coach. Well done by you. Richard, talk a little bit about your club. How many kids right now are registered in your club?
Well, at our York District meetings, we register about 3,400 members now. That's, of course, year-round, as is soccer, and that goes from age 3 right up to age 26. I personally coach a team of women in the Ontario Women's Soccer League, and we have, of course, approximately 1,700 house league players, and the remainder are competitive players. We have special needs players. That's a program particularly close to our heart. It's something we've developed in the last couple of years, goes year-round as well. About 20 participants. Each one has 1 to 2 coaches, and they get some special training. Some of our people have been doing this now for, well, as long as our program's been going, Paul, and longer in some other clubs.
You mentioned you coach and you are a president. Double duty, 2 hats. Again, I can't understand where you get all the extra hours and energy to do these things, and you're not getting paid a single cent. Why, Richard? Why?
For the love of the game. I mean, my team won the OWSL Division II championships just last Sunday, so I guess there's a thrill in that. Some of these girls I've coached since they were 12, and now they're teaching 12-year-olds as teachers and winning still championships. So that kind of dedication inspires dedication on my part as well, Tony, I've got to say.
Well said. Now, I have to ask you a little tough question here. You might not like it, but Unionville, a club that hasn't made it to many Ontario Cup finals, what are you guys doing as a whole club to make sure you guys can get to some of those finals, break down that wall, and win some of those competitions?
Besides winning the national championships in 2008, maybe? You mean stuff like that? Yeah. And our long-term development program has been initiated actually prior to the paradigm we knew about last year, and we had our technical staff actually training our coaches so that we could launch it full bore this year. As you know, Mr. Kit has said that really next year is the official launch, but we're doing it right now. So what are we doing to give our kids better opportunities? We can't make them better unless we give them the opportunities to make themselves better. So we've got the training programs in place, I think, to truly excel or let our kids excel on the field.
Well said. Another question. Many club presidents don't ever return calls from parents that have questions, concerns. You, Richard, when there's a message or two, or there's a concern from a parent, do you return that call?
Well, we have a chain. We have a chain of information set out for requests as mundane as refunds for kids who've changed their mind or children who've injured themselves, heaven forbid. And I get involved. I don't generally contact them directly unless they've exhausted the people who are charged with the primary task of issuing refunds, of dealing with financial hardship situations. If there is a problem at that level, if there's not resolution, then I'll call. And if somebody calls me directly, I'll return a call. The one thing I do directly is myself and our financial VP, we do all the financial assistance decisions together. It's confidential. We try not to spread that out. We work together with applications that are submitted, and from there we help kids who maybe can't afford to pay for soccer but have the talent to play soccer.
What if mom and dad have a concern with a coach and they've gone through the technical directors and they're still not satisfied and they want to talk to the president? Are you going to listen to their concern?
Oh, absolutely. We have an appeal process. We'll sit down with them, we'll take notes, we'll document their concern, and we'll address them.
Well done. Now, Richard, just before we let you go, you told me about a special event, a special program that's going on with the special need kids, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Please talk about that, because those are things that I love to hear and people out there love to hear. And that's why it puts a smile on your face, on Paul's face, and on mine. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about stuff like this. Tell the viewers.
It really is. Well, again, our program, I alluded to at the outset, about 15 to 20 kids, and we're taking them year-round now. They love the artificial turf. We just got that set up in a field. And the parents love that too, of course, because they'll entrust their children to us. They'll come back happy and not dirty, which is sometimes a factor. But no, that really I think is the heart of our club. If we have the sinew and the muscle in our competitive teams, and we have our stature and our number of recreational players, I think our heart resides probably with our special needs players and with the programs we're doing there. Because, Anthony, that also gives our kids who are playing competitive and recreational soccer the chance to work with these kids. Yes. It is our kids who are playing soccer, who we're training also, to help others with special needs soccer, and probably that is one of the best ways to feed the talent back into our club, because you should see these young volunteers take the training and get into training kids who are less fortunate on the developmental scale than they are. It's really wonderful. The dedication is there, and you know, it interests them in coaching further down the line as well. It becomes one aspect of their coaching, and really inspiring to watch them on the field, and see them in our tournaments and in our leagues.
I love hearing this stuff. Keep going forward, Richard. Congratulations. And it's stories like this and people like this, like Richard and Paul, that give back so much. But the last story specifically, Richard, that's what it's all about, putting smiles on young kids' faces that maybe would have never been able to do so. Guys, congratulations. Keep going forward. More people, as I always said, like this, that have it in their heart for the game of soccer and not in their pocket. Thanks for joining us here on Touchline.